I'm Trezh. Welcome to the Nocturnal Space Workshop. So I previously made a Chaos Space Marine Warband, which is a close combat heavy legionary squad, and I need a leader. So I'm just looking through the Chaos Space Marine Codex. I think the Master of Executions is just the guy. So I don't know if you could hear me there with the mic. I think the Master of Executions could just be the guy. Or probably is the perfect leader for a squad of close combat guys. So that's what I'm going to make. My Chaos Warband is called the Ironbone Lords, and I have to stick to the Ironbone Covenant. Now that means every single model has to be a conversion, and it has to start off using a metal miniature as a basis. So for this one, I'm going to use the Emperor's Champion. As you can see, I've already chopped the top of his head off in a previous conversion. The blade on the sword arm has also been removed, this was from a previous conversion again. That's fine though, the Master of Executions has a big axe, so I'm going to be using this axe. This axe is from a very old Warhammer Fantasy Chaos Warrior. I think it's going to fit perfectly, but first of all I want to strip off that paint. To strip off the paint, just take an old bowl and some high acetone nail varnish remover. This one only cost me like £1 at the local shop. You don't need a lot. So I'm just going to drop in the axe head, and I've also got a backpack that's also been previously undercoated, but I don't know if I want to do something with it, so I'm going to strip that paint off as well. Always wear gloves and just give them a little scrub. I recently got some milliput. I've never actually used it before. I normally just use green stuff, but I thought I'd give this a go on the shoulder pauldron. I've heard that milliput can be a skin irritant. I'm not quite sure how you're supposed to do this with gloves on, because it just sticks to everything. I've never used milliput before. With green stuff, I normally, if it's sticking too much, you can put a little bit of Vaseline in. I don't know if that's the case with milliput. This is, okay. By law, I have to say, if you are doing this at home, then use protective gear. If in later shots you see my fingers are all like puffy and red and stuff, you know why. So I did end up using Vaseline, and still got some on my hand there. That worked really well. It works with milliput just as well as it does with green stuff. Yeah, I just used the usual silicone tools to work with it, and then the pair of tweezers just to tease it out and shape it a little bit closer. So I just need to put this to one side now to dry, or to cure should I say, for several hours. So I'll probably just leave that overnight and then come back to that tomorrow. While I've got the milliput on the go, I think I'm going to go ahead and sculpt some antlers for his helmet. I'm just going to use this old paper clip, cut that down, stick that into the holes that's already there, and then I'm just going to, work the milliput into shape. That's just a bit of bicarbonate of soda. Makes superglue set rock hard. I'm not sure milliput is the right material for sculpting small antlers. Yeah, I'm not loving it. I think the milliput is too thick for this kind of detailed work. I don't know, I'm kind of thinking actually if I just do one horn, like Venger from the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, something like that. It's not working, it's just not what I envisioned. I don't like it. So let's just start again from scratch. Maybe it was just because I was going for the wire armature. Maybe if I just sort of start sculpting something, see how it comes together. Yeah, so in the end I just kind of repaired the top of the head from where I'd previously destroyed it for the other conversion. So yeah, I just wasn't happy with the antlers. It was a cool idea, but I don't know, I might go back to it later, but for the moment I'm just going to leave it as it is. So I guess that's it for tonight. Well, that's all set now. Now I went ahead and I drilled a hole in the axe. I filed it down a little bit first, and then I drilled a hole so I could put a pin in, so that can slot straight into there. So that is a little long, but I kind of like it long, like maybe it's supposed to be a two-handed weapon and it's just sort of holding it aloft at the moment. It's kind of a spiral design on the handle, so I'm just going to repeat that going up there. I really want to make the blades bigger, but at the same time I kind of want to keep the classic Chaos Axe look. Tricky decisions. See, the Master of Executions does have a huge axe. But I'm not making an exact Master of Executions like the official model. I'm just making my Master of Executions, and I don't really like, oversized weapons. So I don't think I'm going to go for that. I think I'm just going to keep it this size. As for the milliput, it's hard to describe the texture. The shoulder pauldron, that was okay, because you're actually doing it on a flat surface and you're making a pattern. And it was okay, on the top of his helmet, just for, filling a gap. It's fine for that kind of thing, which I suppose is what it's really for. Milliput for bulking out, green stuff for detailed work. I think that's the way forward. One thing I need to take care of, I need to remove the cross that's on his chest. I believe they call it, what do they call it, the Crux Terminatus or something. That's way too imperial, so I need to get rid of that. But I do like the idea of him having something hanging around his neck. And I thought that maybe I could use one of these bird skulls, but I think that might be too big. It is kind of the theme of the army though, that they have skulls and so on hanging as trophies. So I was thinking maybe something like one of these jaw bones, maybe? Would that look cool, hanging? Maybe if I get one of those jawless skulls hanging from there. I still keep thinking about those antlers. I really like the idea of him having antlers. So now I've got the green stuff on the go, I think I'm going to make him the antlers out of green stuff. I'm sure I'll find that. Hello again. So, drilling the hole to put the pins in, and the top of the head that's made out of milliput just popped off, so it's really not very strong at all, which is fine. Okay, lesson learned, don't do that with milliput. But if I show you this, okay, that's the silhouette I wanted. I'm also going to use, wait a minute, so I rolled out a bunch of these pointy little cylinders, leftover teeth from a prior project. I'm going to stick a couple of them onto the pins for where the antlers branch. So this is how I'm looking at the moment. I just went in and I wrapped the pins with green stuff, and then I just tried to, kind of make some indentations that just kind of looked like natural growth. So, so it looked like actual antlers and not just like spiky things sticking out of his head. On the chest, I tried to put the skull on, but it just looked too big. It didn't work at all. So I worked with a little bit of green stuff to make kind of a pendant that had a kind of skull motif with it. When I come to paint it, I'll pick out the details more with that. I just wanted it to, have the look of a skull. And I just wanted to go ahead and glue it all together. As you can see, the shoulder pauldron gets kind of hidden with the backpack there, but that's fine. It kind of, hides my crimes. I really do love that silhouette though. That's exactly what I had in mind from the beginning. Everyone in the army has skulls like trophies hanging from them, so he needs to have some skull trophies hanging. I mean, he has got skulls up here. Do I need to add any more skulls? He's already got all these ones up here. Also, the Master of Executions does have a bolt pistol, so I wasn't sure whether or not to, put that in his hand or possibly have it hanging on his belt somehow. It could go like that. I really like the look of him just sort of walking along with his fist clenched. That's a two-handed axe that he's just holding up in the air with one hand at the moment, so it wouldn't really make sense for him to actually be holding the bolt pistol. I might just leave that off. This is my aspiring champion, and this is how I'm doing the bases. As you can see, the actual colour of the base is mostly covered up by this red gunk. That's just gloss Mod Podge mixed with a little bit of red, and obviously it's meant to represent blood and gore on the battlefield. Exaggerated, of course, but I think I added a little bit too much red when I did this first batch, so I'm going to try and tone that down a little bit this time. But basically, the colour I put down on the base for the earth, the ground, that doesn't really matter at this point. I'm going to paint the base standard colour, which is probably just going to be a sandy browny yellow kind of colour. Once I've done that, I'm going to give the whole lot just a black wash. Now this is my own black wash. It's literally just some black paint, just really cheap black paint, and it's just mixed with water. So once the black wash is on, that gives it a good dark base as a foundation to build up from, with the lighter shades going up in fact to a vibrant fluorescent magenta. As you can see, the finished effect is quite subtle. It just makes it pop on the raised areas. I really like where the purple's at. As you can see, I did get a little bit on the skull and on those skulls up there, on the antlers in fact. The main thing is when I did the black wash, I got the black in the recesses on there, so that's why I wanted to paint it before I did the black wash. I do like that purple though. For the bones of the skeleton, the skulls and the antlers, just start off with a earth brown and then stipple on a bone white, and then I'll stipple on a pure white over the top of that. Once I then put a dirty wash over the top of it, it sort of blends it all in together, gives it lots of texture. I've been using a mixture of colour party paints and Vallejo. So the helmet, for example, the helmet on the spikes that is, I used a colour party blue and then a Vallejo royal blue. Likewise, the loincloth or the tabard, whatever that is, I've been mixing the colour party paints with Vallejo, just different colours. Looked at a bottle and thought, yeah, that looks cool, I'll use that, and then looked at another one and thought, hey, that'll go with it. So I've just been mixing them together as I went. For the handle where the straps are, I want to do that as leather, so I painted that black, and I'm just going to highlight it with a brown. So hopefully it'll just look like dark leather, like it's really, really worn in. While I was waiting for the paint to dry, I decided that I would go ahead and make a custom bolt pistol for him. So I just stuck on some of those spiky green stuff bits and also put on one of those bird skulls. I'm going to paint this separately. I'm thinking I'm going to paint it sort of a silver metallic or dark silver metallic for the most part, but then also some gold on there as well. And then of course more of the bone effect for the bird skull. Quite often when I'm dry brushing, I just put the paint onto a brick, then just dab the paintbrush into the paint and rub it off onto the brick. The texture on the brick takes off most of the paint, but also if you've already got some paint on there, like where I've got purple on already, you can see how much paint's left and what kind of a dry brush effect you're actually getting. If you're using actual metallic paint, dry brushing over black, that's the way to go. I actually drilled out the end of the barrel as well. I don't normally do that, but you know, as this is a character, I thought it was worth the extra attention. For the gold part, I'm not sure which one of these two golds to use. They both look pretty much the same. I'm sure that when I was looking at them on the shelves, there was a more distinct difference in the colours. I kind of want it to be shiny, so I guess I'll go with old gold that looks slightly shinier. Also, I might be making this video for YouTube, but I'm not painting the miniature for Instagram. You know, this is one of my gaming miniatures, so for the tabletop, I'm not really too concerned about a little bit of cross-contamination in the paints there. Before I glue that on, I want to strip a little bit of the paint on the hand, so the glue grips that a little bit better. So I'm just going to take the tiniest amount of paint strip, and then an old paintbrush, just to dab that onto the hand. That's all I wanted, just a tiniest little bit of bare metal so the glue has something to grip to. So there he is, fully assembled for the first time with his pistol. Before I apply the wash, I'm going to add a little bit of brown onto the antlers. I think I went a little bit too heavy with the white, and it really stands out as bright white. I know that the wash is going to tone that down a little bit, but still I want a little bit more of the brown showing through, so I'm just going to dab a little bit of that on. The Ironbone Covenant, which is the promise that each of my Chaos Space Marines make to the Dark Gods, that they will in fact collect bones and so on as offerings to them. Individual Chaos Space Marine has their version of it written upon their shoulder pauldrons, written in blood red, their version of the Ironbone Covenant. That's the last thing I need to do to my Master of Executions before I go ahead with the dirty wash. On the shoulder pad here, on the pauldron, this is like the Ironbone Covenant, their promise to the Dark Gods to do the bidding. The purity seals, they're kind of like dark purity seals, so impurity seals or whatever, and that's the further promises to the Dark Gods, saying that they are their willing servants and they will carry out their wishes, their deeds. The axe, by the way, I'm leaving that just metal because I want to just emphasize the executioner axe. I want it to just look like a big chunk of metal that is coming to chop people's heads off with. This is my mud wash that I use to dirty everything up, and it's just made by mixing black and brown together with a lot of water. So the brick I was using to dry brush and so on, I just had the little fella stood on top of that in front of the heater just to try and make the paint, the wash dry that a little bit quicker. And well, it's actually melted the base. So it's warped on that side, and on that side it's kind of melted through, right next to the plastic skeleton skull. So if I'd left it a little bit longer, I dare say the skull would have just melted away as well. A melted skull. But that's okay, that's kind of cool. It's a Chaos champion, so that's fine. He can have a bit of a warped and melted base. But that's dry now. Okay, if I can just talk about the eyes for a second. So first of all, I went over with fluorescent green, then just a dot of white in the middle, and then fluorescent green again over the top of that. And I deliberately allowed the fluorescent green to overspill, as I was hoping that would give kind of a glowing effect to the eyes. But I don't think it really achieves that effect. I mean, I'm not really a fan of object source lighting in general, and I don't think it's worked here. So I think I might just give that a very thin line of purple and take that back a bit. Hello. I think that's done. So I'm gonna take some pictures. So that reminds me. So this is the board that I normally use when I'm painting pictures. When I'm taking pictures. So when I do pictures for the little gallery at the end, I normally use this board. It's just a cheap drawing board that I got from the craft shop, and then I used some black and purple spray paint and then a little spritz of gold over the top to make it sparkle. I figured I could put that behind, if I show you. Now, see, so I'll put that behind the model, and it just gives a little bit of a backdrop, gives a bit of colour and texture for the background. What I've just done today though, so I just used gold at the bottom and then, you know, some red and black at the top, so it looks like there's fire burning in the, you know, nighttime or something like that. You've already seen the thumbnail because you clicked on the video. I don't know what I'm actually going to do for it just yet, but that's what I'm thinking at the moment. Here's the gallery.